Welcome, guys, to the SBN Network podcast. I'm your host, Steph, and with me is...
I'm Scott.
Yes.
And I'm Scott. We know how to do intros now.
This is a podcast where we take some deep dives into some wonderful artists and kind of look at their account in a different way, which is always a little bit positive, a little awesome, and you guys can enjoy their accounts with us.
And now that we've gotten more professional, I try not to say any dumb stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I try to at least always end on a good note. There it goes. And Scott has to drink for the first couple seconds.
And so we begin.
All right.
So we begin.
And
Yes.
so it begins.
And Tommy, thank you so much for coming on. I know I've
Of course.
asked you and bugged you for a while now.
Oh
so
my
I'm so
gosh, I feel
excited.
so bad that I hadn't already been on it. I'm
You're-
so bad at making plans with people. I swear, I'm horrible.
Everybody has life going on.
Yes.
Scott had a baby,
Yeah.
so we had a delay. We got all kinds of craziness going on, so you're okay.
Right.
It's now.
Well, I didn't have a baby as an excuse, unfortunately. but
but
nonetheless,
But this is the nature of this interest and this hobby is they're very. I mean, there's like 7 people in the entire world who actually do this like for a living or whatever.
Mhm.
Like
yeah,
we try to dedicate as much time as possible, but we have to be realistic with ourselves. Like we all have
For
other
sure.
things we do. We make money, we do things with people,
Yeah.
family, etc.
Mhm.
And honestly, the only reason I was even able to truly get started in this was because of the lockdown and COVID. Like honestly,
Right.
that was other than that, I never really made time for it. And now because of that, I've now forced myself to make time for it. But honestly,
Right.
like we live in a very complicated world, and we complicate things, I think, sometimes more than we need
it's
to.
true.
So
These
it's
toy
totally
photography
understandable.
pages, there are alternate personas.
Mhm.
Yes, it's always fun to learn a little bit more about people behind the page.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Tommy, let's do a little bit about when you started, because I have your first photo back from 2017. So let's start
Oh my
there.
goodness! Wow.
So I'm gonna pull it up, and you can tell
Back
us a
in
little bit about it.
2017. I wonder if
we
I even
go.
remember. I probably remember taking it.
Here we
Oh.
go. Dun dun.
Oh yeah, that was. I actually still think that photo is pretty cool.
That is. It is pretty
Did
cool.
that. I did that on my roof, and that was before I even had. Which is funny because I still do a lot of photos just right out on my roof.
Yeah.
So it's funny that my first photo was out there. But like, there's kind of this gravelly area because I live above a building. My apartment is above our building here, so like I'm able to kind of luckily I can just walk right out on the roof. It's not, some people when I take photos, they're like, how did you get up there? Yeah, I hope you didn't like fall off the roof. And I was like, no, it's actually not very scary. But yeah, there's this kind of gravelly like rooftop up there, and I don't know what I did. I don't know if I just like, because there's not really I took that like in broad daylight with my cell phone. I didn't even have a camera yet or anything. And I think I just underexposed the background somehow to make it super dark back there.
Yeah.
I just had like the sunlight on it, and there was just so happened to be a shadow back there.
And it
So
works.
I think I got kind of lucky with that one and how it looks, because like honestly I can't think of how I would take a shot out
Yeah,
there
you would
right
do
now
this
that
again.
would look like that. No.
It's interesting. You said that you still use that roof. I love that you
Yeah.
said that, because that's something we kind of talk about when we do this like oldest, newest photo thing, is you realize that even early on in people's toy photography experimentation, you see the things that we were all going towards, the things we were
Yeah.
trying to accomplish. And you see little tidbits that have never gone away. Whether that's
Yeah.
something as simple as your location, like you still like this location, and this is a
Yeah.
location that's continued to inspire you since 2017. And I think that stuff
Totally.
like that is really fun to see, or certain figures are what seem to
Yeah.
inspire people, or, whatever the case may be, a certain editing technique. Like, granted, that editing technique may have gotten better over a
Yeah,
5-year
for sure.
span, a 3-year span, or whatever, but you'll see those little
Right.
things that people take along with them, and I think that that's
Mhm.
really neat. So it's fun. I like that
Yeah.
you still use this area. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I love it out there. I'm lucky enough to have, like, if you look at my photos, there's a lot of photos with, like, an apartment building in the background, and,
Yeah.
yeah, I have, like, I'm lucky to have this really old looking apartment building that's, like, right across from where I live. So I'm just like, hope the people that live there aren't like, "What are you doing taking?" I'm like, "No, I'm just taking photos of toys. No,
It's fine. I'm not looking through your window. It's all good. It's
don't
all
worry.
good.
I'm not doing Rear Window
Yeah,
from
exactly.
Alfred Hitchcock here. It's okay."
Did you always collect, Tommy? And like you just started taking photos, or like how did that kind of
I
off?
mean, I kind of did. Like, I had a bunch of toys when I was a kid, and
Mhm.
I mean, just like anybody, I loved toys when I was younger. But I do feel like there was a point in time where I wasn't really collecting. But then when, and I feel like this is similar for a lot of people, Star Wars: The Force Awakens came out, and there was just so much merchandise everywhere, and that like awoken this nerdism in me that had
Yeah.
been like dormant for a while. And you couldn't go anywhere without seeing Star Wars Force Awakens merchandise everywhere. So I was like, oh man, maybe I should like start buying some of this stuff. I want to like get a lot of these Star Wars action figures, and I didn't care about like the quality of the figure back then or
No.
anything like that, so I was just getting like anything and everything I could get
Yeah.
my hands on. And I feel like it kind of just bloomed from there. Like, then it
Mm.
turned into, like, craziness where I just was, like, really into collecting. I started getting Funko Pops and stuff, so and honestly, that was, like, right before I made my page, so 2017. And when did Force Awakens come out? Like 2015, I think?
2015. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so a couple years, so it took me a little
It's
while
it
before I
is
started
it's
doing stuff
interesting.
with
Like
it.
you just pointed that out, that a lot of people feel that way. It's true. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people got back into this. I don't know if it was just timing. Like we were all like, we were past the time where we were really, really like college broke and stuff like that. And we all just
Yeah,
started to be like, you know what? Oh, why don't we buy some fun stuff again? Because there was a
for
period,
sure.
I've talked about this pre Force Awakens. There was a period where I stopped buying Star Wars stuff in the early
Yeah.
aughts. Like that was it. I was like too busy. I had very specific things I needed to use my money for, and that was that. Like
Mhm.
I was not going to waste it on Star Wars figures. And then, time passes, and all of a sudden it was like, "Oh, this is more accessible now. Maybe
Right.
I should actually do this." And you start getting
Yeah.
like, fun odds and ends. But Force Awakens really did, I think,
Yeah.
not to be punny, but like awaken a lot of
Yeah.
collectors. It really did. It's a shut up, Steph.
I
Don't
can
make fun of
feel
me.
an
It's
awakening.
like it was like this weird, like, up this flip.
Yeah,
And
for
it's
sure.
I think it's funny that so many people do identify with that period, like right in like
Yeah.
2015,
Yeah.
2016, 20, like all the sequels, I think as a whole, the influence that they had on the collector community, I do think it woke a lot of
Oh,
people up.
definitely.
So
Definitely.
And you're like an out of box, so you probably unboxed all these figures too when you got them because
Yeah.
they're so big.
I mean, it's funny because at first, like, I still do, especially action figures or Star
Mhm.
Wars ones. There'll be like a Funko Pop here and there where I won't take it out of the box nowadays because sometimes, like, I mean, there was a period of time where I was not good at all. I know some people keep all their stuff perfect and have everything all in their box and all. I'm like so horrible that people would be upset at me if they saw the way I've treated some of my collection. But yeah, now I definitely take better care of my stuff now, and I keep some stuff in the box sometimes. Sometimes I take it out of the box, but most of the time I still take it out of the box because I love doing toy
Yeah.
yeah,
photography. So
us too.
yeah, definitely an out of the box collector. I mean, I like holding it in my hand. I like
Yeah.
Yeah.
getting
Steph, I don't
getting
have
to
I
know it.
asked you, Steph, do you keep anything in the box? Like I think
I used to a long time ago. Like I was like Tommy, like in certain things you're like thinking they're too
yeah,
precious to be not in the box. But
yeah,
now no. Like even
okay.
my hot toys get fallen out of trees
Yeah,
and all the other crap. So
yeah.
it's like
I was
My
like,
God.
I've probably asked you that before, but when he said that, I was like thinking to myself, I don't know if you like, I have a few things that I still have in boxes, very, very few, but pretty much everything. And I'll tell you this too. A lot of the times what I decide not to take out of boxes, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but things I don't want to take out is just not necessarily because of the value or potential value. It's because of what they look like in the package. Like I think the
Yeah.
package is really cool looking. And that's where I struggle with it. Like I don't want to take it out because of the
Yeah.
way it looks. And
Totally.
and
I
that's
display the boxes because I like the artwork, because that's how,
yeah.
like, I will literally
Yeah.
pick up something because I'm like, that box is sweet, but
Yeah.
it's like not really that necessary.
Well,
Um,
especially Star Wars. Sorry to interrupt you.
no, you're good. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Star Wars has those really cool packages now where it's the
Mhm.
package that looks like exactly the package that you got like back
Yes.
in the 90s or the 2000s or something, and it just
And it's
is
even
like,
got like the
how could I
Kenner
ruin this
branding.
package?
I
Yeah,
know.
I feel guilty taking them out of the box, but I end
I
up
know.
taking them out of the box
And I also
anyway.
love, this sounds really weird, and I don't know if there's any truth to this, so please nobody quote me on this one. But like, I swear the fact that they're 6-inch scale in those boxes is like for us, like it's reminiscent
Yeah,
of a 3 3/4 inch. Like it's like
totally.
we feel like, because we've gotten bigger and the toys got bigger with it. So like the package, like perspective wise, feels the
Yeah,
same to us. So like I
it
think
feels
there's
right.
something about that, like
Yeah.
when we hold it, because I've even thought of that sometimes with like the vintage collection. Like when I do buy them periodically, I'm like, these feel smaller than they used to. But then I hold like the
Yeah,
6-inch scale in those flat, like Kenner style vintage packaging. I'm like, this is what I remember. Like, it's like, this is coming back
it's
to
funny to
me.
say that. Yeah, you don't really
So,
think about that because when you're a kid, you don't think like, wow, this is such a tiny figure. It's
no.
like, it's just like, no, it's just the action figure for you.
I
Exactly.
know.
Yeah,
That's how the new
that's
NECA
funny.
turtles like keep getting me. I like walk by
Yeah.
them. I'm like, I can't buy them. I have too much stuff already. Tom,
Oh
you know that
man.
you have different scales and different figure types all the time. It's
Yeah.
just there's too much to buy nowadays.
Yeah. No matter what the scale is, I went to the store this morning just to get a couple things, and I freaking ended up buying a little Batmobile, like just like a little
The micro
what the heck?
machines kind
Just
of
like a
thing.
little Hot Wheel one.
Hot
Yeah,
Wheels.
just like a
Oh, I
little
can
Hot
relate.
Wheel from
I just got 2
from
more.
Batman the Animated Series, and it had like a tiny little Batman. I was like, yeah, maybe if I like get my lens really close up, and I don't know.
Sweet.
It just like it was pretty cool anyway, just as is. I was like, shit, that's Batman the Animated Series Batmobile. I gotta get that.
I love, speaking of Batman, I love this Batman shot too. Like this
Oh,
new
thank you.
one. This is such a cool profile. To be honest, what's really fun is I know you kind of commented to me about like the fact that you've changed a little bit recently, and that's what I found really interesting is over the past several months, your style's a little different. It has kind of like morphed a little bit, and you've been kind
Yeah,
of doing different types of lighting and different types of vibes
yeah,
even. This I think
definitely.
kind of falls into that category of where your page
Yeah,
is evolving to. I just think he's so well lit. Batman, I mean, we talked about this actually a little bit with Christian, lighting a black figure against a
yeah.
dark background is a very, very challenging thing to do well.
It's pretty tough.
It is. And like you can just point a light at it and hope for the best and whatever, but
Mhm.
you can end up overlighting it or underlighting it. Like you want to
Yeah,
walk that line so that people know who the character is, but you still want them to feel that darkness and that, like, that mystery. And I
totally.
think it's like, it's perfect right here. Like it's
Thank
just
you, man. I
enough
appreciate
darkness
that.
where he disappears, like parts of him start to disappear, but like if you can't tell this is Batman, you probably shouldn't be following toy photographers. Like I'm just like, I don't even know much about Batman, and I still have read enough
Yeah,
that I recognize that that's Batman. It's just, I think that's so cool. I love that you caught
thank you.
the symbol on the front. You've got like the
Yeah,
light just across his nose and chin, like where he would need to be lit, where like a cinematographer would want him lit. Like you
right.
thought very like. You thought like a cinematographer here, like the important parts of him are what are lighting up. You even get that horn, like back, like it's really, it's good. It's just a really beautiful Batman image. And the thing
Thank
that I
you, man.
also
I
commented
really
about
appreciate it.
your photos when I was writing about it, and this is something that I had to kind of step back and think about. You don't clutter the foreground as much as I do, if at all. A lot of times you don't put
Yeah,
anything in the foreground. I have a tendency, like we've talked about on past podcasts, like I have a tendency to put stuff there. It's like my way of seeing perspective, my way of seeing depth. I
mhm,
don't know, but I use it a lot,
for sure.
and it's basically it's a little bit of a crutch, I guess, too, where you don't put stuff in front of the figures. I'd say you put stuff in front of the figures less often than you put it in front of the figures, which I think is really interesting.
That's very true.
So I had to take a step back, which was another reason why I kind of gave up on my first series of photos that I did of yours, and say like, no, this is kind of important to what he does. Like there is very little distraction in the front. It's very often figure background, and I think this is a perfect example of that. There's no wall distracting you in the front like I would typically put in there, or a branch or something. It's just figure, background, but yet you still get the depth out of it. So really, really cool.
I really appreciate that. And yeah, I do that a lot. I feel like a lot of that I've kind of had to teach because I don't have too many diorama stuff.
Mhm.
Like I would love to do more photos with stuff in the foreground.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. There's so many people that have just like the most amazing sets, and I think and the photography that they're able to do, like combining like their skill with because like, you know, you can have a really cool diorama and take photos with it, but just like the combination of that mixed with some of the people's skill that they have in here just looks like so incredible.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wish I had a big alleyway like diorama to put Batman in, but I feel like, yeah, because I've been somewhat limited on like my resources in terms of like the stuff that I can do setting up around the figure, that I've kind of taught myself how to bring character to a photo without necessarily having a bunch of stuff in it.
You use what you have.
I think
Yeah.
And Tommy, you're very true to the characters, like the ones that you take from like how you are and like the mediums that you choose, because you love them, movie to comic to animated series to everything that happens in between. And so your lighting for this character, it goes with the new movie that just came out, because you know
that's exactly that's what I was going for.
Yeah. So I think your lighting is your addition to your dios. Like it's that's your element that you're adding to your perspective, instead of like needing a shopping cart or garbage or a sewer or anything of that nature.
Exactly.
And I think when you eventually do get to that scape, maybe you can have a room dedicated to a couple dios later on. Like make
I would love that. I mean, I have some stuff, but yeah, for the most part I have.
But it's like, almost like a movie set for you. It's like reliving those favorite moments. So it's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what I was going for with this one, because I was so like I don't know if you guys have seen the new movie yet or not.
No, not yet.
So I won't spoil anything, but I loved the cinematography in it. So I was kind of trying to emulate that in this, because they lit Batman so well in that movie that I was like, okay, well, I don't want to have like just a light shining directly on him. I was like trying to make it look kind of moody, like they did in the movie, where he was like barely lit, and kind of where you could still tell it's Batman, but it has like a bit of a thing to it to where it's creepy, like he's kind of just peeking out of the shadows a little bit.
Well, you did it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me cry.
I know.
This figure is so heartbreaking to shoot.
Yeah, when you start diving into anime, you're gonna figure out.
I won't say anything, but it's a very sad. I don't
know if I want to now. Let's stay away from this. This is so beautiful. I don't want to get emotional.
I know. Shoot. I know. I went away from the sadness of this anime and made it an optimistic photo.
Well, this is absolutely stunning, and it's very different from the direction a lot of your work has gone recently. It's a unique photo for you, I just, this is as far as I can tell, this is not posable. This is static, right? Static.
Yeah, statue. It's a great statue. I love when you animators nail these statues. Like it's because it is something that I can't relate to. The closest I could come would be like my what in the world do I call them? Walking Dead, like McFarlane figures that are basically they don't pose at all. And I still don't even photograph them. I still won't touch them. I'm still like, nah, I can't handle it. Too strong. I feel I'm scared of it. You guys just do some really cool stuff, and this is definitely beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's just lit well.
background, everything just feels right about it. And again, for something that's just kind of this is what you have to work with. Good luck. Like, that is
Yeah.
really cool that you're able to pull that off. So I love it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I think this photo, I was literally just like, had my camera right here, and it was like a nice cloudy blue sky day, and I was just like holding her up in the air in front of my
Mhm.
face. I
Yeah.
was like pointing my camera just straight up at
Well,
the sky.
this is I get very particular about things, and I tend to point out very particular things, but like the angle that you chose, um if you had turned her a little bit, it would have been so not the same. It would have lost so much. Like the fact that her bow does not intersect with her fingers at all, that you get to see both parts.
Mm.
Yeah.
If you had been, and again, when you're holding a figure, it's very easy to not pay attention to those little things, but it would have been, it would have been a different photo. I'm not saying it would have been bad. I'm just saying it would have been
Yeah.
different. The fact that her hairline, her one hair comes like right in contact with her shoulder there is really cool. I think that's a really neat thing. And again, had you turned it just a little bit, I'm trying to think, her bow away from you, like going to the back,
Hmm.
the bow would have come over her fingers. Again, not a bad thing, but it would have been totally different, and that
Yeah.
hair would not have been in contact with her shoulder in the same way, where you have like that
Yeah.
nice, just like clean little line, and it would have taken on a totally different feel in just those two little things. So it's
Yeah.
very smart photo of a statue. So
Thank you, man. Yeah, I feel like this anime really affected me. So every time I do a shot with this particular statue, I always like try and put a
Mhm.
little more extra effort into just like how nice it looks. Like I
mhm,
wanted this to look very angelic, not to
yeah,
be like sad about it. But
but
yeah,
you did it.
I wanted it to look sort of like heavenly or ethereal or
Yeah.
something along those lines.
And I'm gonna be like, because I know from your stories that you play musically too. So like a
Yeah.
music character to you is gonna have another lighter
Oh,
feel.
definitely.
And so not only are you really into like cinematography of things, but like the music behind it too. So you
Yeah.
can tell that you pay attention to like how she would hold her bow, like the for the violin,
Yeah.
like that. So
Yeah,
very
no, I really love her character for sure.
cool.
She's really cool, and it's a good anime. Oh yeah,
There we go.
yeah. So I saw that you were talking about my blue light. My blue
hmm
light is definitely one of my things I think I discovered early on, and it's
Yeah,
just like it's just a movie projector. It's like the Epson
yeah.
loading screen is just like a blue screen, and I think I used it. I forget what shot I used it for. I used it as on a shot early on, and I was like, oh wow, if I use lighting on a figure, it looks cool.
Yeah.
Or it
I
looks
I
different.
love I love that you do it. I love that it's become a one of your staples. And not that you've been, again, you haven't been doing it as much.
Yeah,
But I like characteristics like that. Some people get like frustrated with themselves when they have like a thing that they do. But as somebody who spent so much time in the art world and the music world, and like that was my life for so long, like watching, this is what makes an artist or a musician specific, is when you can pinpoint things. And I compare it to like um in music school, they'll do this thing you get tested on a lot of the times called drop the needle, which goes back to like record playing, where what they'll do is they'll play a piece of music, start it in a random spot, and based on the characteristics of that section, you're supposed to attempt to identify certain parts, and you get more,
right.
if it's a test, you're going to get different point value, for however much, almost like a math test. Like, you get
Mhm.
certain points for doing the equation. So like you sit there and you identify certain things, you identify, chord progressions, like intervals, things like that, that may stand out. And if you take those characteristics, the goal is to be able to whittle them down to who might be the composer, basically.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's the ultimate thing to figure out. And I think there's something really fun about this use of your blue light, because it's a very specific blue light that pretty much stays, the tonal nature of it stays consistent throughout your work. Like it's because you're using that specific projector.
Yeah.
And I think it is just really neat. I love that it shows up constantly. I love that it shows up on different characters. It's not just like one character you use it on. It appears all the time. And that was another thing. I was like, I didn't execute that well the first go around. And I was like, I'm not gonna not incorporate blue light. That is such a staple. And I also love, I don't think I quite nailed this, but I do love that you have very bright highlights within the blue. So you'll have this blue light. It's usually from the side. Again, it's side or rear side, but you'll get these hot spots that you let all the detail disappear from. And it's almost like it's like a signature. It's like having an autograph like in your piece. Like if you look around in all of you, and I don't know how many of these blue light style photos Steph put in the slideshow because I haven't seen it, but if you go back through your feed, and anybody should go back through the feed and look and see, because you'll see these really neat little, like the side of someone's face will get highlighted out, and like it creates like a you appearance. And I just think that I love that. I love styles. I love very particular things that make an artist stand out when you're, again, scrolling through a feed.
Thank you, man. I'm not used to getting so many compliments on. I'm like, it's getting bashful over here. I really appreciate you saying that though, because I feel like I don't know if this is just me in my head sometimes, where I'm like, does my photography actually have an identity? Like, what does it look like from somebody else's perspective? Because I feel like that's such an important thing. I'm always, I don't want to say jealous, but I'm like always like super excited for people whose pages I like know, who's, like you said, I know whose photo it is before I even see their name on the page.
Yep.
Like there's that, like Steph, I know that it's your photo before I see that it's yours. So I think that's a really like special thing to have, is being able to like identify something. So like I do feel like my blue light that I have there is like I do think that is one of my things that makes some of my pictures look unique from
100%.
other stuff. And I do know what you're saying. Like sometimes people don't like to have a thing, and I'll admit I don't shoot with it all the time, because I feel like when I first discovered that it was like a cool thing to add, I was just like wanting to do it all the time, because I feel like blue inherently adds like a cinematic nature to photos. Like it just automatically makes it look a little bit more cinematic than what it would look like otherwise. So I got like obsessed with using that all the time, because I was like, oh, I like it. It looks like a movie. That's cool. I want to use that all the time. But then I was like, I don't want to use it all the time. But I want to use it right now. Talking about it makes me want to go do shots.
Yeah, but especially if you're into like sci-fi and horror and even some animes, like blue color grade is a big thing. It's a really big thing. So it's not surprising as a movie and film enthusiast that you would incorporate that into your work.
Everyone has that color spectrum they go to too. Like mine is green because like, I don't know why, but that's just why my eye like to move stuff towards. Scott has like a I don't even want to say his is a blue hue too, but it's like a cooler palette. It's always like kind of like a little less like it pulls back,
muted and flat.
But it's not like the same thing. It still has that emotion to it. So Tommy, yours is very cinematic in my opinion. Like you use a projector for God's sake to light it. So it's like that's how enthusiastic you are in the entire
I know, it's literally a movie projector to light.
Yeah. And so like your horror, like you care so much about all these characters. It doesn't matter if it's Pennywise or Batman. You light them to where they're going to shine. So it's just really, really unique on that style and your signature. And I know it's your photo when it eventually pops up on my feed, because Instagram is horrible. So I have to like look for stuff.
Oh, I know. It's the worst. If you don't like one person's photo one time, it's like, oh, you must not like their work anymore. I'm never going to show it.
Drives me crazy. I actually have gotten to a point where I will write people's names down. This is going to sound insane because I still haven't done it yet, but I'm going to sound like a crazy person as I'm waving around my little like headphone thing. I have a whiteboard, an actual full size like conference whiteboard that I got for my basement, that I'm going to start writing like people's names down, that I want to make sure that I keep an eye on, because as I've gotten more followers, and we talked about this a little bit with Jason, as I get more followers and as I follow more people do get lost, and I hate that. I want to like,
Yeah.
and so I want to remember to go back to certain people, that especially some of the ones who don't have a lot of followers, because they are the ones who get like really pressed, like just disappear. And some of them are like my favorite photographers, but
Yeah.
like they don't pop up anymore because they've got, 800 followers or 600 followers, and like
Right.
they're just kind of like squashed down. So I want to start like just taking notes and just like writing people's
know.
names like in dry erase on my
Yeah.
like, board, so I can be like,
Diagrams
looked at
about
them in
how
a
to
while?
like photos. Yeah.
yeah.
I really
Yeah.
feel like you make those like close friends, like stories,
Yeah.
that list should be the people that you see first. Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
I
That would
know.
make
Yeah.
sense.
It
Like, that
doesn't.
would be
Yeah.
But
You would
that's
think that
how
Instagram would be able to like just know like, oh, this person has these people and they're close friends. We should probably like show them their work more often. But it's like, no,
they probably want to know
not
what
at
they're
all.
doing.
Yep.
No. Ay.
Hmm.
Ah.
So
Oh,
this
yeah.
actually,
Hey, there's my apartment building. That's the one
I love
that
it.
I was talking about.
I love that you have this space that you're actually able to create like a forced
Yeah.
perspective feel. I think that is excellent. I don't have a space like this, and I envy you so much.
I feel so lucky to have that back there, and
Oh,
I've done photos back there so many times. So many of my
freaking
photos
amazing.
are from
Freaking
back there, and
amazing.
I don't care how many photos I take with that in the background, I'll still do it
Yeah.
forever, just
No.
because I feel lucky to
Yeah.
have that area, because it looks like I'm like transported to New York City or something when I have that in the background.
Natural dio. It's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. I
so
was like,
good.
I don't need a apartment diorama. I literally have one in my backyard.
No, this is framed phenomenally, which I mean we can talk about that, but like there also is this. Steph and I talked about this before you got on. We were texting about it this morning. And I mentioned it in your little write-up thing, is your use of duos, pairs, couples,
Mhm.
partners. You do this thing where neither character for example, I may shoot a photo with 3 people in it or 3 characters in it or whatever, but I would say 95% of the time one of the characters is kind of the protagonist and then everybody else is sort of extra.
Mhm.
Especially when it comes down to like even my focus, like I'll have a tendency, I'll put somebody out, like I'll have maybe there's 2 other people in the scene, I kind of make them like, wash them out a little bit, and the focus is one person. You do these partner photos that I think are really cool. You do it with Funkos, you do it with Legends, you do it with Black Series, where in my opinion, both characters are equally significant to the story of the frame that you shot. And I think that that's really a little bit unique to you. I don't think there are not, I know we talk about signature. We were just talking about like signatures and stuff. I don't think a ton of people do that. There are significantly more people who photograph an individual character or like an army of characters, but you do
Right.
this thing in 2s that I think is really, really cool to look at. It's again, that's something I failed on your first run at taking photos. I just took a Funko, a Funko, a Funko, 3 shots, boom, 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 done. And I was like, okay, they're nice photos, but it didn't have the duet thing that you create. Again, that's the best way to describe it. You have this like duet that you make where again there is no lead or like principal player. They're both equally important. I think I just made up that word.
mean, equally
important. That's I'm gonna start using that all the time. Equiportant.
I think that mostly just stems from the fact that I like you said, like it seems like I love all the characters that I photograph. So if like I give one character the spotlight, I feel bad. Like, shoot, does that mean I like this character less? I'm a jerk. Like she doesn't deserve to be out of focus. I need to have her in focus.
That's great.
Yeah. I also think, Tommy, that you respect the connections the characters make. So it's like you like Spider-Man, where you're like everybody that's in his life, good or bad, has that connection with him in some way, and you frame it as that. This is the connection between them two, because this is more framed for their hands, not for the figures.
Yeah, that's exactly this whole photo was. I'm pretty sure was about their, or at least in my head was their hands coming apart from each other, like she's letting him go, or they're letting each other go, and he's going off to swing into action. So in my head, I think it made sense because the picture was about, like you said, was about both of them. It wasn't necessarily just like about Spider-Man or just about Mary Jane. It was about him swinging away from her.
But you took the time even to focus even like on her freckles. Like you really brought both characters to the forefront there.
Yeah,
I really like that Mary Jane figure. I like that they have really dark freckles on her cheek. I've shot her a couple times, and I like that aspect of her figure.
was
Those little
she?
freckles.
Was this Mary Jane just an individual figure, or was she part of a 2-pack?
I think this was a 2-pack. Was
Yeah.
the two of them together? This specific set.
I think
'Cause
so. I
actually
couldn't
like
remember. I thought
Peter
that was
Parker
the
too
case.
is pretty cool.
Yeah, it really is. But
Um,
it is a really good Mary Jane too.
Yeah, I think that head is a stock head though for Mary Jane. I think I've seen that head on a couple other figures, but
Yeah.
I feel like it works best for her.
Mm-hmm.
Like whenever I see it on other figures, I'm like, it's Mary Jane on that person.
Yeah. Somebody just took
person's
Mary
shoulder.
Jane's head and stuck it on somebody else's
Yeah,
body.
so I feel like it works really well for Mary Jane. So I think I was like, this must have been originally designed just for her,
Mm-hmm.
or at least that's what I make myself believe because I do like her figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, legends are fun though. Spider-Man in general is one of my favorite guys to photograph. I feel like he's just so easy to do photos with, and like that apartment back there kind of looks like it could come out of a Spider-Man comic book or movie or something.
Oh, big
But
time.
yeah,
it's got,
he's fun
it's
to
got
shoot.
a very like Queens vibe to it, like the
Yeah,
brick and
totally.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's fun to shoot. You could do honestly any type of photo with Spider-Man. You could do dramatic, you could do fun photos. He's just like the ultimate. He's the ultimate Spider-Man. He's the ultimate figure to do photos with.
No, you're right. His character, I never really even thought about that till you pointed that out. He is very versatile when it comes to like what you can make him emotional, but you can also do funny things without it being weird. Like there are certain characters that it's not even fun. Like you wouldn't, I don't know, like you're not going to take like Thanos and do something funny unless it's really, really thought out and it's got to be something like epic. Whereas, but like with Spider-Man, he is kind of a character who crosses a a lot of different emotions. So
because you can do a sad photo with Spider-Man and it still works.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites. That's a funny one.
Again,
I forgot about this photo.
It's just a good relationship photo. Like it's a good interaction photo with nothing cluttering up the foreground. Like again, I'll point that out. There hasn't been a single photo yet that we pulled up that you have any like foreground stuff, which is I do it all the time. But you had like it's just the characters and then a far off background. And I love it. I like this photo a lot. I looked at it many times, and this was one of the ones that kind of influenced my idea of the third photo I posted. I know it sounds weird that they would be in the same light, but it's very conversational, and I think it's great. This is really good.
Yeah. I just thought it would be, I think back when I took this photo, because I love that Planet of the Apes figure. It's so cool. I need to do more photos with him because he's super awesome. But yeah, Goku is just a fun one to do funny photos with. I haven't done a photo with him in a while, but yeah, just my idea with this one was just like there are a couple of apes. Goku coming up to this monkey and thinking like, hey man, what's going on? I'm an ape too. We can have this conversation together. And Caesar looking at him like what are you doing? Get out of here.
Scott,
stop bugging me.
Goku turns into a giant monkey at full moon.
Do oddly enough know this. Don't ask me why I know this, but I actually know that, and I understood that reference. Sometimes, like when you guys talk about anime, like for those of you who are like Marvel fans, I sometimes feel like Captain America in the scene in the original Avengers movie where he's sitting at the table and they make some reference about like the Wizard of Oz, and he just like raises his hand. He goes, "Wait, I understood that reference." Like I do occasionally get an anime reference. Like, it does happen. And speaking of anime references, something about this photo, again, as somebody who's not really a viewer of anime, you got that anime head scratch like that they do, where they throw their hand behind and they kind of like they're doing something and they're like, ah, like it's so good. Like, it was like the posing, it's so great. Like, I love that. It's just like absolutely perfect. Again,
I did kind of mess up in one area on this though. Now that I'm looking at it, I don't have his tail on him. I must have like misplaced his tail or something. I should have Goku's monkey tail sticking out behind him. It would have added another layer to it. It's okay. It still works.
You can do a retake.
Yeah.
That's
or Photoshop
true.
like
Maybe
a fake tail in.
I know, right? Yeah. Photoshop this photo.
Just draw it on an Illustrator. Like, it's fine. It looks great.
I had to bring this.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed taking this one.
That
was a figure I was looking forward to for a while. Sorry.
There we go. Some blue light, some hot spots. I mean, but a totally different vibe somehow than your Funko Pennywise and experience and whatnot. I have a question for you. Your snow. What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
What is your snow?
Well, it's funny because this was back when I was using full-on practical snow. I sometimes will add digital snow in there now because like practical snow just gets so messy.
Yeah.
And like if I can take a photo to where like it's fun. Nothing against anyone that uses digital anything. It's just like I'm not a digital artist, so I have to use like apps that have snow, and like it doesn't always look the best.
Yeah.
But in this one, I'm not gonna lie, I felt a little guilty because she was a brand new figure and I got so much flour in her hair.
Yep.
I was like watching it out. It was in her clothes. I was like, shoot, did I just ruin her like just out of the box?
Yeah.
But I really liked the photo because I was looking forward to her figure for a while because Arya is my favorite character in Game of Thrones.
Honestly,
so I was just so happy to have this figure.
Yeah. In this image though, the snow, like, you're not going to ruin anything. I mean, but like, even if you like, it was worth it. Like,
I
was
ridiculous, pretty happy with this photo. I remember being pretty happy with it. Just because I was using flour, and I don't remember if I was like, I think I was trying to like do the clap a button, but like, I'm not real. I don't have like that's one thing that I need to figure out is how to have the button to make your camera shoot the photo like while you're doing the effects
release
yourself.
Yeah,
I don't know why I'm so lazy with so many things like with my camera. I remember when I went on the toy safari, or just when I do photos with Tom, he knows so much about his camera and stuff, and everybody I know like super smart with their camera, and I know a little bit, but it's when it comes to like the actual like what is actually going on, like I don't really know. So
I'm right there with you. Like,
Eva, so I
Eva
think with this one
the other day, and she was talking about bounce, and I was like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, exactly. It's like I don't know. I'm sorry. I want to know, but I just don't know. I don't know if that's me, if I'm just lazy, or if I'm stupid, or what.
No, it's just your way of doing things. And like there are people who photograph really beautiful photos on just their iPhone. So it's like,
exactly,
clearly you're making it work. And one of the other things that just naturally makes it work that a lot of people don't always catch on is your lighting style already works for snow. Like if you want snow in the photo, like to look like this, you need to have a light kind of where you had already placed your lights. So it just worked out in your best interest. But your snow really, I think it looks great. Like it really looks great. And every photo you put it in, it always looks like the way it feels like it's supposed to look.
I think I got lucky just figuring that out because I was like, okay, this is such a bright light. And I like tried to do snow one time and I was like, oh, wow, it's actually like really showing up because that light is so bright because it's like a projector. So snow like just kind of naturally.
Yeah.
Because I'll do that thing where I'll like clap in the air with the snow and like go down. I'm like doing freaking up downs trying to take these photos. But then I figured out this way to where if I like pile it on the ground like in front of the figure, I think that's what I did with this one because I had to like be really specific because I was trying to do like a close-up focus, so I didn't really have time to like constantly go up and down and like get a good focus on her face. So I like had it on the ground and I was blowing on it, and it kind of made it have that blustery look to it. I think that's kind of why the snow in this photo looks the way that it does, because I was like blowing the snow directly onto her, so it kind of like blustered around and it looked like a blizzard kind of a little bit.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it's kind of like a fortunate accident. I didn't like mean specifically for it to look like this. I was just kind of hoping for the best when I took it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing with practical effects. Sometimes they work out exactly how you hoped. Sometimes they work out better than you hoped, and that's the thing. It's just about trying to capture that moment and making it work the way you want it to. So
no, that's what makes them so fun to do though, because you never know. Like you can like have this simple idea in your head and hope that it does well, and then all of a sudden it looks way better than you even imagined it looking.
I love
just
when that
because the
happens.
effects turned out so cool. Yeah, that's the best, when it like looks good right away. And I'm like, oh shoot, cool.
Yep, victory.
Yeah. So yeah, I really, this has always been one of my photos that I really like the most, probably.
It's one of my favorites from your feed, because I remember seeing it when it first came out, just because it was in like the height of like Game of Thrones too, and it's just like, it was like so cool. But you have all of them, don't you? The 3-0 figure?
I have quite a few of them. I have the Hound. He's probably my favorite. His 3-0 figure is just so freaking cool. And I have Jaime, I have Cersei, and I have Tyrion, and I have Jon Snow too. So I have almost all of them.
Yeah.
I don't have the new Arya. They came out with a new Arya from the later seasons, but I was kind of like, well, I don't know if I necessarily need to get her, because I already have this one.
I've been wanting to get some, and I'm like, nah, I don't need them.
They're pretty cool though. I mean, shoot, with the new spin-off show coming out, it might get you in the mood to pick them up. So yeah, they're pretty cool though. They actually do a really good job on these ones. But I remember this one, I was just so happy when I was editing it, because it was one of those ones where my lighting made her face sculpt look better, you know? Because like, if you look at her directly, like in direct sunlight, it's like, yeah, it's good, but it's not like doesn't look exactly like her. But like, I felt like when I was editing this photo, it looked like exactly like her.
That is a good
brought
feeling.
Out the good qualities in the face sculpt.
That is a really good feeling, because I know what you're talking about. I love that moment where, and it doesn't always work out, but those moments where, and I mean, I think that's what we're trying to accomplish as toy photographers.
Yeah,
we're attempting to make something look better than it does just looking at. That's what we're doing. So when you really get those moments where it's like, oh wow, I made this figure look a lot better than it does. Like, I always feel really good about that. I also always love when I see like another photographer take a photo of a figure, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go buy that. And then I go look at it, and I'm like, no, it doesn't look anywhere near as good as it did. I don't really want this anymore. It's which I'm always blown away by that. Like, there are some just ridiculous people out there who can just make a figure look so lifelike. So
no, that's one of my favorite things to do, is trying to make a figure that maybe like isn't like 100% in their likeness, but if you can get it at a certain angle to where it does look like them, like that's one of my favorite things to do, for sure. It's fun. It's fun to do.
I don't know if the challenge photos are next. Nope, I had one more.
It's so good. And again, you do in a combination of your lighting and stuff, but you're not dependent on it. Like and that was why I incorporated red lighting in my second photo of the duo, was because you don't let yourself get stuck in your signatures and your comfort zones. You're still totally fine going off and doing something different, but you make it always like it always can come back and work for you. And this is an example where you took the light and you did something other than a signature, and it looks just as like stunning. I love this. I love that side light coming in from the other side. You've got this red just kind of casting over the character. It's so cool, and the reflections off the water and stuff are just beautiful. Such a really good moment, and all the motion of the water. I like this. I really like this.
I did. I really appreciate that. I think I did this one with a hose, or like a what are those for the spray head for the hose? Yeah, I just had it on soak mode, I think, and because I really wanted it to look super, just rainy. I wanted it to look like really wet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I had that like more. Because I mean, there's like a spray bottle rain you could do that makes it look more misty, but
Yeah.
I just wanted it to look like heavy flooding rain.
I also
Like
love that you're not afraid to like wet your Funkos. Like I feel like
no,
a lot of like pops people will hesitate towards doing some of
I
these
think
more
a lot of
aggressive effects.
everybody, yeah.
Like whereas you're just like whatever, I'm just gonna soak it.
spray
Like
that thing with
it's
a
like
direct hose.
yeah, like you're just like
Yeah,
what? Yeah, we're just gonna do this, and
I
who
mean it's just
cares?
water. What's gonna happen
Exactly,
to
and
it?
I just think that that's so great. Like you will throw flour at your Funko Pops. You will
Yeah,
throw water all over them. You don't shy away from you'll blow up fireworks behind and sparklers and things like that. Like you're not,
yeah,
you don't worry so much. Like
yeah,
you don't sacrifice the image you're attempting to get just in the off chance that you might like ruin it or
Yeah.
like I've said this on the podcast, like I melted a Thanos arm accidentally once.
Ugh,
Like I've gotten flour in places on the figures that I can't get it out. Like that's just it. It's
oh
just like
yeah,
solidified. I've gotten mud in things, in the feet holes and stuff, and it's like it's not even
yeah.
worth trying to scrape out. Like,
It's like, what are you
but
gonna do?
what are you gonna do? Exactly. It was the image I wanted to get at that time, and you go for it. And it
Yeah,
is what it is. You're gonna scratch
I'm
paint off if you have
100% on
fun.
that.
Like so. I
I
love
think
this though.
yeah, I don't think, not that I think, I know for a fact, my John Wick hot toy fell off the roof. That really sucked.
Yeah,
But he's okay. He's still photographable, but his leg
absolutely.
did break off, and I felt very stupid.
My,
But I wanted to get a photo really bad, and it was a windy, blustery day on my roof, and he was not wanting to stand up. And I was like, no, I'm going to get this photo. I'm going to get this photo. I'm just going to stand him up one more time. And lo and behold, there he goes, flips over the. I was like,
I know. Hey,
oh,
I broke my camera
John
taking a
Wick.
toy photo. It happens, and
Yeah,
that's
it's part
if
of
you're
the
gonna get
game.
into this, yeah. If you're gonna do this, you can't worry, especially if you're someone like us who like spends time outside and does stuff. Like, yeah, if you're in a safe studio setup, sure, you're probably gonna be fine through the entire life of the
Yeah,
toy and yours and your camera, and everything's gonna work out, no problem. But if you're the kind of person who wants to spend time in the wild taking
yeah,
photos, there's going to be
it's
casualties
gonna happen.
periodically.
And if you want to get super nice figures and still do photos with them, the
Mm-hmm.
danger is there for them just as much as it is
Yep.
for
yeah.
any other figure that you get. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Agreed.
all a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's toy photography. I love it. I won't give it up for anything.
Heck yes. Heck
So,
yes.
Okay. We're gonna move
Oh,
on.
look
So
at that.
this
that
is
looks
my
really awesome.
in the style of Tommy, and I will post this when your episode airs next Sunday. So just so you know. But
I
I don't
love
have
this.
very many Funko Pops, but I wanted one that was going to be kind of in your style of adventure, and so I went with a natural effect on this. I tried to get it as blue as
Yeah.
possible in my brain.
Yeah. But
And
Steph, that is the
No, I
thing.
like
Like
it.
I can relate to that 100%. Like what you just said. It's tough when you're trying to go with a tone that you don't frequent, like you don't spend time in. It's like being a stranger in a strange land, and but you did, like, you have this great side light and you have this like this blue tone and you've got the blizzarding snow. Like it's freaking awesome. It's
I
freaking
feel
awesome.
like you nailed this right here. I love this photo.
I always
The
feel like,
blustering snow looks great.
yeah, I always feel, Tommy, that you always make Funko Pops feel like they're hot toys. Like that, into my mind, they're like just as cool. I could be in an action shoot too, so that's what I
Yeah,
was trying to go with a little bit, because I feel like you give them a little bit more oomph. Because I know
yeah,
there's a lot of made fun of because they are static and kind of cutesy. Same thing with Dendroids.
yeah, for sure.
But I really enjoy that you care enough about every figure,
Yeah.
so it just kind of shows.
Well, it's not always just about the figure. It's about the photo and whatever image you want to create with whatever figure. I definitely try and put just as much care into Funko photos as I would into a shot with like one of my Hot Toys figures. I just want to make a good looking photo.
Yeah.
with what it is. But Funkos, I feel like they just photograph really well. I don't know what it is. I don't know if that's
Oh, I
just
think you
me or
photograph them very well. I don't think everybody photographs them very well.
well, maybe not.
I think
Yeah,
there are people who struggle with them.
yeah.
He fell over a lot too. I was very annoyed, but that's okay. I was like,
Yeah, I very much, you have to try to like play around with a new figure, and I've talked to Steph about
Yeah.
this. When you start moving into different scales and different feels and different body types and shapes and stuff, it's oddly more confusing than I think people even realize who are not into toy photography. I said this a lot about the first time I shot a Nendo. I was like, this is the heaviest head I've ever seen. I don't know how to make this thing stand up. Like, I don't even know
Oh
where to
my
place it in
God,
the
that I
frame.
can't even tell you now how
Oh,
to make that.
it was exhausting. I was like,
Luck.
I can't deal with this. But like the Funkos, like even mine, like I only have bobbleheads. I don't have any that are not bobbleheads. So
Right.
this is gonna sound really stupid, but I'm gonna ask both of you here: do they come off of the stands that they come on, or are they like glued on there?
It depends. So
Okay.
Star Wars ones, I don't know if Star Wars is just they're so obsessed with their brand name
Okay, they keep them
being
on.
attached to things, they will literally glue the Funko Pop to the stand, and they're
Okay.
the only ones that get glued to the stand. If you get a stand with any other Funko Pop, you can take it
Take
off.
them
But for
off.
whatever reason, with Star Wars ones, they're glued to the stand, and I'll just freaking rip it off.
Yeah.
As
No, it
far
was
as
weird
I
because
can.
I went to start taking it off, and not that I was like super concerned about damage, but like I was like, well, if it's supposed to stay on the stand, maybe I should leave it on the stand. But I start pulling it, it starts making like this cracking noise, and I'm like, well, maybe I'm gonna pull a little bit more, and I start pulling, and it's like, no, I think it's supposed to be here.
Yeah,
But
if it's a Star Wars one that you're talking about, then it was probably glued on there. Yeah,
yeah,
they
all
glue
right,
them on there for
it's good
some
to know.
reason. It's
But even
kind of
like that,
annoying.
like trying to figure out how to hide that hideous stand was another
Yeah, that's
part
not
of the
fun. That's
adventure
why I
for
have
me.
to rip them because, like, in order to hide the stand, you have to like go out and like just put a bunch of dirt
Dirt
over
in
the
front of it,
top of it or
yes.
something, or and then it always kind of looks obvious, like there's this big
There's something
mound.
hiding there. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, what are you doing? So I always try and take them off of their stand. I'll use like a hair dryer or something to.
Oh.
It kind of like messes up their plastic a little bit,
Yeah.
but it is what it is.
yeah.
But
I
yeah.
wonder about lighter fluid. So lighter fluid is really good at taking off adhesives and
Oh,
stuff like
really?
that.
Oh,
So I'm wondering, like,
probably.
so with like cars, if you ever try to take off like like logos and stuff like that, any like you drive a Toyota RAV4 and you don't want it to say Toyota RAV4 on the back, you take like a little lighter fluid, you pour it
Yeah,
along the top, and you put some dental floss through it, and it usually will pop off. Or
Dental
fishing
for
line.
sure.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
something thin, and you just can kind of like shave it off and it'll just
Cut
fall off.
underneath it.
So
Yeah.
I'm almost wondering if like I like fishing line them, if I could just like
I bet
just
it would.
cut them right
I
out.
bet it would. Yeah.
It's a
But,
good thing to try.
yeah, interesting.
Let us
Yeah.
know.
So random. I will.
Yeah,
After
yeah,
I
let me
try it and
know if
like
that
ruin like
works.
8 Funko Pops, I'll be like,
Right.
I figured
Long
out the
enough.
method, guys.
I
Just
figured
like
out the right
oh,
substance to use.
There's a bunch of like dead melted Funko Pops laying on my floor, and I'm like, I got one.
Burnt
I
in
got one to
acid.
work.
Yeah.
There we go. So yeah,
I
this
loved
was
this
really
shot.
fun.
This was fantastic.
This was fun. And I wanted to go with that like exploration discovery sort of vibe, like the idea of like, looking into the darkness that,
Yeah.
she sees in her master, kind of a thing. And it was, kind of took a different spin on that, but it was really fun. Again, I've been doing so much indoor shooting this season. I don't know what to do. It's so confusing to me, but playing with like
It's fun though. Indoor shooting is
it
fun.
can be really fun. I'm starting to see it. But yeah, playing with some like sharp side lighting and stuff like that was really, really fun, because that's really not something I do at all in any of my photos. So it was that was kind of an adventure, and I'm just happy to be actually using the LEDs that I got like last year that I've only used twice. So it's been
No, you
it's
did
been
a
really
great
fun.
job.
Really fun experiment
What
though.
did you use for the background on that one?
So those are door panels. I don't know how
That's
much
what I
you
was wondering. I was
yeah.
like, is that
So
like a door panel or a
Steph
laundry
knows all
basket?
about this. I have so where I work, some of the guys that work for me and my department and whatnot will find broken pieces of like machinery and things like that, and they know what I do, so they'll put them to the
Okay.
side for me.
Oh, that's cool.
And like one of our our equipment service technician actually has like a little bin that she just like sticks like broken garbage in and stuff. And so these were laptop it was like a laptop charging cabinet for like charging like 100 laptops or whatever. And they decided that it really wasn't necessary to have door panels on them, so they ripped them off. And I was like, kind of want those. So I've used them a few times. I haven't used them a
They look
ton,
cool.
but they're fun. They're just have like a nice like, you know, patterned whole thing going on with it and stuff. I got a few other different looking door panels that I want to play around with, but yeah, I just take junk from work. So
Yeah, shoot. Well, it definitely works, especially for this shot right here. It totally looks Star Warsy. I like how he's gazing off into the red light, and you kind of got the blue light coming in from behind her, like it's the lightness trying to take him away from me.
Yep.
From the darkness.
Fun. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
little Annie.
Little Annie. Oh.
Little orphan Annie.
What did little orphan Annie do?
Oh my goodness.
Boom.
Oh
Look at that.
That was a fun shot to take.
Look at that.
I actually did have a couple figures in the background for this one. You can't really tell because they kind of blended into the TV.
Crowd.
But over his right shoulder is actually the Riddler figure in the background.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can't really tell. And then that's the Punisher next to him.
Well, this is quite an image. Very cinematic. Very again, a little different than some of your other stuff. It's a little bit like even the fact that you used like a what do we call them? Digiramas? Is that what people call them?
So that's kind of what I've been using more recently. I've been trying to add a little bit more variety to my backgrounds because I feel like I'm a little bit limited in terms of like my locations, but I feel like I just didn't think I was very good at, or like I wasn't doing the proper lighting technique in terms of making the figure blend with the digital background, because that's so hard to do because it's so bright, the background. So if you don't have the right lighting on the figure, it's really obvious that you're using a digital background.
100%.
So 100%. Luckily my girlfriend has this ring light to where I'm able to it has like so many different varieties of colors on it. So I'll just sit there like looking at the figure through the frame, and then I'll just like use the remote control on the light shining down until I see something that matches the background.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And I gave a little bit of motion blur to the background too to kind of try and make it look
I think that was a smart idea.
You don't normally have the figure facing either, I don't think.
Yeah.
Just coming right at
directly.
you.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to have a lot of focus because there's like it's no spoilers or anything. I mean, I think it's in the trailer, but yeah, there's just a scene in the movie of Bruce walking around, just like in Gotham during the daytime, and that was sort of my idea for like exploration, just him looking around Gotham City, just like being in the element, even when he's not in his Batman persona, he's still out and about, like feeling the vibe of the city and stuff, and like sort of blending in, like people don't know that it's Bruce Wayne walking around. He's kind of just like blending into the city.
I don't know if you meant to do this, but I don't care if you meant to do it, but it gives this really cool feel as I'm looking at it harder and I'm looking at it a little more like aggressively. It almost feels like he's going into like under an underpass or something. Like he's walking slowly away from the crowds that are out in like the daytime, and he's sort of sneaking back into the shadows. Like he's entering like either an alley or maybe going under some scaffolding under like by a building or something like that. Like I feel like he's like kind of going back into his, like he's wandering around this city, but he's always kind of like gravitating towards the darkness kind of a thing. Like there's just something really cool about that, and it's hitting me harder the more I look at it.
I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I do kind of feel like it had that vibe too, because like I think that I don't know if it has to do with the background or how because I wasn't quite sure how this shot was really going to work out when I was taking it, but it kind of did have that effect. I kind of thought something similar after I took it. I was like, oh, it kind of does look like he's because that was sort of what I was going for, but I
Yeah.
didn't think that it would like 100% look like it or not. I mean, there's
Yeah.
so many like fortunate accidents when it comes to photography. Like that's
It's
part of what I
true.
love about it so much is like you can still surprise yourself, like hoping like I hope that this looks a certain way, and then it ends up looking another way, but like better than what you
Yep.
were even planning on it to look like.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was a fun photo.
Oh my gosh. Well, seriously, this has been really really fun conversation. Like
Yeah.
Tommy, you are a talented individual, really smart. I love what you've created. Again, end of every episode, got to ask, do you have any other platforms that you like to share out to the world? Are you a Twitterer? Are you a TikToker? Do you do any of the Snapchatting? I don't know. Like, do you do anything else, or is it basically just My Nerdy Obsessions is your
No, it's
handle?
just My Nerdy Obsessions. That's
Gotcha.
it. That's my main thing I got going on.
Very cool.
It's my
I
place.
like listening to Scott say Twitterer because it makes
Twitterer. Yeah.
So,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've never gotten a Twitter for some reason, but it's one funny because I'll go on Twitter and look at stuff,
yeah.
but I'll just like Google stuff on Twitter. I won't like
Mhm.
I don't like actually have a Twitter myself for whatever
No.
reason because I've never gotten one.
I've like talked about a few people with this because usually you just end up posting the stuff on Instagram to Twitter too, and then I'm like, why
Right.
more time? Just
Yeah,
do
why
it.
am I adding it to other things? I know.
Yeah.
I know. I did. I
Totally.
started when I have a Twitter for F-Stop Rebel. I have a Facebook for F-Stop Rebel. I have, I have a Twitch. A Twitch. I don't play video games, and I have a Twitch account for F-Stop Rebel. I have no idea why I did that.
You don't play
but
video games? Come on,
No,
man. What's
I
wrong with
don't.
you?
I'm completely disconnected. I'm the worst nerd ever. Like, I'm really bad
So when
at
we
it.
were talking about Journey earlier, you had
I have
no
no idea.
idea what
No.
we were talking about.
No, but I'm fine with it. I like hearing
Shame.
about it. I like knowing this stuff. I like figuring it out. Like it's gaming. I never had a chance to. I think what happened was I got out of it at just the right time to become disconnected from it. The last video game system I had was Nintendo 64. And then by the
Oh, that's a
time
great one.
I had gotten to a point where maybe I could have started like investing in it again, the games had gotten so much more complicated, and I was like,
Oh yeah.
I was like, never mind. Like, I missed it. I missed that period of time where you were able to evolve with it, and you moved into like
Right.
Xbox and the PlayStation 2s and 3s and like, and so like, I think I missed that sweet spot. And then once you hit that point, like for me, like holding like an Xbox controller feels like holding something that would launch a space shuttle. Like I don't,
Like a log.
yeah, exactly. I don't know what I'm looking at it going like, do I shake this? Do I talk to it? Like, is it supposed to do something for me? Like, yeah, it does. I can't relate. So I think
I
that's what
still
happened.
feel that way though, even having evolved and like playing video games over the years. I'm like, I need to play very particular games or I get sick of it very fast. Like Journey,
Totally.
I feel like you would probably enjoy that game.
Probably
Like
would.
that's honestly just such a beautiful experience. That's not like some big complicated thing. But then there's that like new game that came out, Elden Ring. Is that what it's called? I don't know. It's some game, but like I'm trying to play it and people are giving it 10 out of 10s and I'm like looking at this and I'm dying 10 times in the first like 5 minutes and I'm like,
this is
I
exhausting.
can't. I don't like God, this feels like just homework if I want to peek this. Like this is supposed
That's
to
not
be
the
fun.
point of this. I know.
I can't torture myself. Like I understand it's probably a masterpiece, but I just don't know.
It's an open world Dark Souls, which is like Dark Souls. I remember watching it, someone else play it, and that was what they did. You have to like basically die to get stronger, and so it doesn't sound like fun. It's like
I
Mario.
just don't have the patience for it. I get it. Like I understand, but at the same time, I don't really understand.
No, it's not for me either. I'm playing like Animal Crossing, like stuff I can turn off.
I know Animal Crossing. I've seen that one. Never played it, but I've seen it.
Yeah,
I only played it when we did those like group playing of it with Eva and Richie and Tom. Did you play that with us too, Steph? Did you play Animal Crossing, or was it just Journey?
Eva and stuff. Like I think I've done it like in different groups of us at some point.
Yeah,
I remember.
It was pretty fun, but I would like never have played it in like my normal everyday life. It was just fun to play with you guys. I don't think I've ever played it ever since like the 2 times I played it when it first came out.
I do want to play
Amazing.
the Dragon Ball Z one. I downloaded it because I have it on the Switch, the fighting one, so that you guys have been playing.
There's a Dragon Ball Z game.
There's like a bunch of fighting games that I know that him.
Oh
and
my
Oh.
god, the one that Tom and I play against each other is the freaking best. It feels like you're watching an anime when you're playing it. The way they do the graphics for it, it's insane.
It'd be fun.
They even have like kind of choppy like body movements, like it's a frame by frame.
Oh, that's kind of
It's
cool,
cool.
actually.
Yeah,
That's
it's
really neat.
cool. It's
Huh.
cool.
Yeah.
Well,
I
Tom,
playing Krillin, so it doesn't matter if I died a million times. So it'd be okay.
Krillin's surprisingly good in the game. I'm not gonna lie.
Tommy, amazing to have you. Seriously, I
It was
appreciate you
amazing
coming
being
on.
here.
And it really it just again means a lot when we have people who actually want to come on and talk and let us talk about them, because
Yeah.
that can be weird. That can be really weird, and we know it can be really weird. So thank you for being a good sport, letting us kind of like
Of
go through your
course.
page and brag about you. And yeah,
I really
again, anybody
appreciate it.
listening who doesn't follow, please follow him, check him out, because you're gonna learn some stuff, and you're gonna really get a good feel for a different way of doing toy photography. So
Yeah, there's so many different ways, but
Mhm.
no one way is the right way. It's whatever
Agreed.
way is right for you. Yeah.
Amen. Amen. Well, y'all, thank you for listening to another wonderful episode of the combined SBN F-Stop Rebel podcast. Truly a pleasure. I hope you enjoyed everything. Remember, please do not grow up. It's a waste of time. I am Scott, F-Stop Rebel, and there's obviously Steph.
Yep, I'm still here, and you can find me at Slag My Thrilla or the SBN. You'll see all the credits on the end, but I always want to say, just guys, stay awesome and keep it up.